The Lion Who Wanted to Paint. In the heart of the savannah lived a lion named Leo. While the other lions practiced their loudest roars, Leo was fascinated by the colors of the sunset. He didn't want to be the fiercest. He wanted to be an artist. One day, Leo decided he would paint. He found red berries and crushed them to make a brilliant red. He mashed green leaves for a leafy green and used mud from the riverbank for a deep, rich brown. The other lions saw him. "Painter?" One scoffed. "Lions are meant to be mighty, not messy." They laughed, and their laughter echoed across the plains. Leo's ears drooped, and his paintbrush, a twig with a fluffy end, felt heavy. Feeling discouraged, Leo hid his colorful berry juices and muddy browns behind a big baobab tree. Maybe the other lions were right. Maybe painting was a silly thing for a lion to do. The world seemed a little grayer without his colors. Just then, a wise old elephant named Zola ambled by. She saw the sadness in Leo's eyes. "Why the long face, little artist?" she asked in a gentle, rumbling voice. Leo explained how the others had laughed. Zola listened patiently. "The world already has many loud roars," she said. "But it needs your colors, Leo. Your courage to be different is your greatest strength. It is what will bring joy." Zola's words filled Leo with a new warmth. He wasn't just a messy lion. He was a lion with a gift. He grabbed his paints from behind the tree. He wouldn't just paint on a small rock. He was going to paint the biggest canvas he could find. Leo worked all afternoon. He painted a giant, smiling sun with berry red rays. He painted green giraffes dancing with brown monkeys and a river of sparkling blue from crushed flowers. He painted the world as he saw it, full of joy and color. Soon, a crowd gathered. The zebras, the monkeys, and even the other lions came to see. They didn't laugh this time. They stared in wonder at the beautiful, happy world Leo had created. "It's beautiful," whispered one of the lions who had teased him. Leo's heart swelled with pride. He learned that a roar can be strong, but a splash of color can be powerful too. From that day on, Leo, the painter lion, filled the savannah with color, reminding everyone that the bravest thing you can be is yourself. The star that couldn't shine. High above the sleepy world, in a blanket of deep, dark velvet, lived a little star named Leo. While all the other stars twinkled and danced, Leo just didn't. His light was a tiny, shy flicker, and it made him very sad. He watched the other stars shimmer and blaze. "Look at me," one would seem to shout. "No, look at me, I'm the brightest," another would pulse. It felt like a big, sparkly competition that Leo couldn't join. Watching from her silver throne was the gentle old moon, Luna. She saw the little star's dim light and his even dimmer spirit. With a soft, silent glide, she drifted closer. "Little star, why do you look so glum?" Luna asked, her voice like the quiet rustle of leaves. "My light is too small," Leo whispered. "I can't shine like the others. I can't win the shining contest." Luna smiled a soft, glowing smile. "Oh, little one," she said, "shining isn't a contest. It's about sharing. Look down there." She pointed a gentle beam of light toward the dark world below. Leo peered down. He saw a tiny, blinking light in a dark forest. It was a little firefly, lost and alone, flashing its light to find its way home through the tall, scary trees. "That little firefly needs a guide," Luna said softly. "It doesn't need the biggest, brightest star in the sky. It just needs a little light to follow. Why don't you share yours?" Leo took a shaky little breath. He gathered up all the light he had, which wasn't much, and focused it into one small, steady beam. He aimed it right down, 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 toward the lost firefly. The little firefly saw the gentle path of light and blinked its thanks. It followed Leo's beam out of the dark woods and safely home. A new feeling filled Leo, a warm, happy glow that had nothing to do with being the brightest. He looked at Luna and his light flickered with joy. He wasn't the biggest or the brightest, but his light had a purpose. And every night after that, Leo shared his gentle glow with anyone who was lost in the dark, shining brightly in his very own way. The Book Fairy. In a world woven from moonbeams and sleepy sighs lives a special kind of fairy. She doesn't look after teeth or flowers. She is Lyra, the Book Fairy, and her magic is made of stories. Every night, as the world falls quiet, Lyra gets to work. With a quill made from a fallen feather, she dips into her pot of moonlight ink and begins to write on the canvas of the night sky. Far below, a little boy named Leo snuggled into his bed. Leo loved stories more than anything, but tonight his imagination felt as quiet and empty as his blank pillow. From high above, Lyra saw Leo's quiet room. She saw the closed books and the waiting pillow. "A dreamer needs a dream," she whispered, and with a flutter of her page-like wings, she zipped down toward his window. She slipped through the glass like a thought and landed softly beside Leo. His dream was a quiet, empty space, waiting for a story to be planted. Lyra opened her inkpot. A single drop of moonlight fell into Leo's dream. From that drop, a sparkling river began to flow, and on the river, a brave little boat with a sail made of a maple leaf appeared. In his sleep, Leo smiled. He was now the captain of the leaf boat, sailing down the sparkling river. He met talking fish who told him riddles and followed a map made of constellations. Lyra added another drop of ink. A forest of glowing lollipops grew on the riverbank, and a friendly dragon with wings of cinnamon toast flew overhead, offering him a ride through candy-colored clouds. As the sun began to peek over the horizon, Lyra's work was done. She blew a tiny, shimmering kiss toward the sleeping boy and flew back to her home in the sky, leaving the story to settle in his heart. Leo woke up with a happy gasp. The dream felt so real. He didn't just want to read a story. He wanted to create one. He grabbed his crayons, ready to draw the adventures the Book Fairy had given him, his own imagination shining bright. The Penguin and the Moon. On the very bottom of the world, where the ice sparkles like sugar, lived a little penguin named Pip. More than anything, Pip dreamed of flying, not just over the waves, but all the way up to the big, pearly moon that watched over him each night. He would watch the petrels soar on the wind and try to copy them. He'd run, hop, and flap his flippers with all his might. But each time he would just land with a soft plump in a pile of fluffy snow. One evening, a tiny, flickering light blinked near Pip's feet. It was a little firefly, her glow weak and sad. "I'm lost," she buzzed softly. "I'm too far from my warm home, and my light is too small to guide me." Her name was Luna. "I want to fly to the moon," Pip sighed, looking up. "And I want to fly home," Luna whispered, looking down. They were a strange pair, a penguin who couldn't fly, and a firefly who couldn't find her way. Pip looked at Luna's gentle glow, then at the bright moon. An idea sparked in his mind. "Your light isn't small, Luna," he chirped. "It's a star that's come down to visit. Maybe you don't need a bigger light, just more stars to shine with you." Pip led Luna to a secret, dark cove. "Watch this," he said, and with a happy flip, he dove into the icy water. He swam in a big circle, stirring up the quiet sea. When Pip surfaced, he told Luna to fly low over the water. As her little light danced across the waves, the sea below began to wake up. Thousands of tiny, glowing creatures answered her call, lighting up the water like a liquid galaxy. "A moon in the ocean," Pip cheered. "We can fly to it together." He swam through the sparkling sea, while Luna zipped through the air just above him. For a wonderful moment, Pip felt like he was flying through a sky full of stars. The light from the cove was so brilliant it shone like a lighthouse. From far away, another group of lights saw the glow and flew toward it. It was Luna's family. They had seen the beautiful light and found their lost little firefly. Pip watched his friend join her family as they flew away like a ribbon of stars. He looked at the real moon above, and then at the magical moon he had found in the water. He hadn't left the ice, but he had flown farther than he ever dreamed, all because he had helped a friend. The Lantern of the Enchanted Forest. Deep in a forest where the trees whispered secrets, two children named Leo and Willow were lost. The sun had tucked itself away for the night, and long, spooky shadows danced between the mossy trunks. Willa held tightly to her big brother's hand. "I'm scared, Leo," she whispered. Just when the last bit of light was about to fade, Leo spotted something on a mossy stump. It was an old lantern, made of brass that glowed faintly even in the dark. It looked warm and friendly, as if it had been waiting for them. Leo gently picked it up. As his fingers touched the handle, a soft, warm light bloomed inside the glass. It wasn't a normal light. It was the color of honey and felt as comforting as a hug. The spooky shadows scurried away. "Look," Willa gasped. The lantern wasn't just lighting the ground, it was painting it. A shimmering path of light, like spilled stardust, appeared on the forest floor, winding its way between the dark trees. "It wants to show us the way," Leo said, his voice full of wonder. Holding the lantern high, he took a step onto the glowing trail. Willa followed, her fear melting away like snow in the springtime. The forest no longer felt scary, but magical and quiet. The lantern's light did more than show the path. It danced on the leaves and branches, creating wonderful pictures. They saw sparkling rivers and castles made of clouds. Then a picture appeared that made them both smile. A giant, fluffy bird soaring through a starry sky. "That's my dream," Willa giggled, "to fly." They walked on, and the lantern showed them another dream. This time, it was a little boat sailing bravely on a sea made entirely of twinkling stars. "And that's mine," Leo said softly, "to be an explorer." The lantern's light seemed to grow brighter, and the path of stars led them to a clearing. Through the trees, they could see the gentle slope of a familiar hill and the soft, welcoming lights of their own village. They ran the rest of the way, their hearts full of joy. When they reached their own cozy cottage, they turned to look back. The stardust path was gone. The lantern in Leo's hand gave one last, warm pulse of light, like a friendly wink, and then its magic glow faded away. Tucked safely in their beds, Leo and Willa closed their eyes. The old brass lantern sat on their nightstand, looking quite ordinary, but they knew its secret. It hadn't just guided them home, it had lit the path to their sweetest dreams. And that night, a boy sailed a sea of stars, while his sister flew on the back of a giant, fluffy bird. The wall that grew a jungle. Leo loved to draw. He drew wiggly worms, fluffy clouds, and roaring dinosaurs. But his favorite wall, the big one next to his bed, was empty. "It needs a picture," Leo said to his teddy bear. "A really, really big one." So Leo grabbed his favorite blue crayon and stood on his tiptoes. He stretched his arm as high as it could go, but he could only draw a small blue squiggle near the floor. "Oh, bother," he sighed. "The wall is too big, and I am too small." His mom, Chloe, peeked into the room. "What's the matter, my little artist?" she asked. Leo pointed at the tiny squiggle on the giant wall. "I want to make a big picture, but I can't reach," Mom smiled. "I think I know who can help." Soon, Dad, Ben, came in too. He wasn't holding a crayon. He was holding big rolls of paper. "If we work together," Dad said, "we can make the biggest drawing in the whole wide world." Swish, flap, tap. Mom and Dad taped the paper all over the big wall. Suddenly, the empty wall wasn't empty anymore. It was a giant, white canvas, just waiting for a story. Leo's eyes grew wide with wonder. "Wow," he whispered. "What should we draw?" asked Mom. "A jungle," shouted Leo, "with a sleepy lion and a cheeky monkey, and a big, happy sun to keep them warm," added Mom. "And a long, winding river for them to drink from," said Dad. Dad drew the big, happy sun, and Mom drew the long, winding river. Leo got to draw the best part. He drew a lion with a funny, fuzzy mane and a monkey with a very, very long tail. They all worked together. Mom added colorful flowers by the river. Dad drew tall, leafy trees for the monkey to climb. And Leo gave the cheeky monkey a bright yellow banana to eat. They giggled as their jungle grew and grew. When they were all finished, they stood back to look. The wall wasn't empty anymore. It was filled with a bright, happy jungle. "We did it," shouted Leo. "You're right," said Dad. "We did it together." That night, as Leo snuggled into bed, he looked at the big jungle on his wall. The lion seemed to smile, and the monkey seemed to wave. It was the best drawing in the world, not just because it was big, but because his whole family had made it, together. The Guardian of Colors. High above the sleepy gray towns, where the clouds knit the sky together, lived a tiny spirit named Iris. She was the guardian of colors, and her home was a crystal prism that spun with forgotten sunshine. One day, Iris looked down and saw the world had faded. The reds were sleepy, the blues were shy, and the yellows had all but disappeared. The world had forgotten how to see. So she slid down a moonbeam, landing as softly as a whisper in a little girl's garden. The girl, whose name was Lily, sat on the grass with a sad face, her drawing paper as blank as the sky. "All my colors are gone," she sighed. "They are not gone," whispered a voice like tiny bells. Lily looked up and saw the shimmering spirit. "They are only hiding. Come, I will show you." Iris held out a hand that sparkled with all the colors of a rainbow. Iris led Lily to a simple puddle left by the rain. "Look closely," she urged. Lily peered into the water. It wasn't just gray mud. It held the whole, deep, endless blue of the sky. A swirl of blue paint appeared on Lily's paper. Next, they tiptoed to a crack in the sidewalk where a tiny weed was growing. "And here?" Iris asked. Lily saw a small, determined dandelion, shining like a tiny captured sun. A splash of brilliant yellow bloomed on her page. Iris pointed to a green leaf where a ladybug was resting. It was a tiny jewel, a single drop of the brightest, boldest red Lily had ever seen. A dot of perfect red appeared next to the yellow and blue. They found the deep purple in the evening shadows, the cheerful orange of a rusty gate, and the soft pink inside a seashell. With every color Lily found, the world around them grew a little brighter. Soon, Lily's paper was filled with a beautiful painting, bursting with all the colors she had found. She looked up and saw that the sky was blue again, the grass was green, and the flowers in her garden were a riot of happy color. Iris smiled, her work now done. "The colors are always there," she whispered, fading back into the light. "You just have to remember to look," and Lily always did. The Mouse and the Magic Flute. In a cozy burrow, beneath the roots of an old oak tree, lived a little mouse named Nico. More than anything, Nico loved the quiet of the night and watching the stars twinkle in the big, dark sky. One night, while scampering through the silvery meadow, Nico's whiskers twitched. He saw a glimmer in the tall grass. Tucked beside a bluebell was a tiny, shiny flute, glowing in the moonlight. "What's this?" he squeaked to himself. He had never seen anything so beautiful. Carefully, he picked it up. It was the perfect size for a little mouse. He put it to his lips and blew a gentle puff of air. A soft, sweet note floated out, like the sound of a tiny bell. It drifted up, up, up into the night sky. As the note touched a bright star, the star shimmered and began to sway, as if it were dancing to the music. Nico's eyes grew wide. He played another note, a little higher this time. Another star began to twirl. Soon he was playing a happy little tune, and the whole sky filled with dancing, spinning, joyful stars. The magical music drifted through the woods. A wise old owl, perched on a branch, blinked his big eyes. "Hoo hoo, what a marvelous tune," he hooted softly. A sleepy rabbit, whose ears drooped from tiredness, hopped stepped out from his warren. He wiggled his nose, listening to the sweet melody, and watched the sky dance in wonder beside Nico. Nico saw his new friends were getting sleepy. He changed his tune to a soft, slow lullaby. The stars stopped their wild twirling and began to sway gently, rocking back and forth in the velvet sky. The sleepy rabbit gave a great big yawn. The wise old owl's head began to nod. The gentle music was the most perfect bedtime song they had ever heard. Nico played one last, quiet note that faded into a whisper. The stars settled back into their places, twinkling softly. Feeling tired from his musical journey, Nico curled up in the soft grass, holding his magic flute, and fell fast asleep. The Wishing Balloon. In the little town of Meadowbright, the day of the Sunbeam Festival was the most exciting day of the year. It was the day when wishes took flight. For a girl named Alara, this year's wish was the most important one ever. Her little brother, Leo, watched from his favorite comfy chair by the window. His legs didn't work like the other kids, so he couldn't run and play. "What are you wishing for, Alara?" he asked, his voice a soft whisper. Alara smiled and tied her secret wish to the bright yellow balloon. "It's a wish for you," she said, giving his hand a gentle squeeze. "A wish for you to run with me in the meadow." Outside, the town square was filled with happy families. One by one, colorful balloons floated up. Alara held her yellow balloon tight for a moment, closed her eyes, and then let it go. "Fly high," she whispered. Alara and Leo watched from their window as the yellow balloon soared higher and higher, a tiny speck of sunshine against the vast blue sky. It drifted past fluffy white clouds, carrying their shared hope with it. Far above the world, where the wind sings secrets, the little balloon delivered its message. No one saw it happen, but a tiny, shimmering seed, like a fallen star, began to float gently back down to earth. The next morning, in the garden right below Leo's window, a strange new sprout had appeared. "Look!" Leo cried, pointing with excitement. Alara rushed outside with him to see the tiny green shoot poking through the soil. They watered the sprout every day. It grew faster than any plant they had ever seen, and its single large flower always turned to face Leo, glowing with a soft, warm light. One afternoon, as Leo touched the sunflower's warm petals, he felt a tingle in his toes. He pushed himself up and took a wobbly step. Then another. Alara gasped, her eyes filling with happy tears. By the next Sunbeam Festival, Leo wasn't watching from his chair. He was running through the town square, hand in hand with Alara, his laughter the brightest sound of all. Together, they let go of 2 balloons, sending a simple message to the sky. "Thank you." The Golden Dream Train. As Finn snuggled under his covers, the world outside grew quiet. But just as his eyes began to close, he heard a soft, gentle choo-choo, not like a real train, but like a whisper on the wind. He sat up and blinked. A shimmering, golden track was appearing on his bedroom floor, glowing softly in the moonlight. The choo-choo sound grew a little louder, and with it came the smell of stardust and warm milk. A beautiful little train, gleaming like polished gold, rolled silently into his room and stopped right by his bed. A friendly-looking conductor, with a lantern that glowed like a star, leaned out. "All aboard the dream train, Finn," he called softly. Finn slipped out of bed and climbed aboard. "Where are we going?" he asked. The conductor smiled. "Everywhere and anywhere," he said. "Each wagon on this train carries a different dream, just waiting for a dreamer." The first wagon they passed was filled with swirling colors of deep jungles and tall mountains. "This is the wagon of adventure," the conductor explained. "Here, you can climb the highest peaks or sail across sparkling seas." The next wagon was as blue as the sky. Inside, fluffy clouds drifted by, and paper airplanes soared on gentle breezes. "The wagon of flying," whispered Finn. The conductor nodded. "Where you can soar with the eagles and dance with the stars. Laughter bubbled from the third wagon. It was bright pink and polka-dotted. Inside, monkeys were having a tea party, and penguins were wearing top hats. The silly wagon, Finn giggled, for dreams that make you wake up with a smile. At the end of the train was a small, quiet wagon. It was empty, but it shimmered with a gentle, hopeful light. "What dream goes in here?" Finn asked. "This one is for you, Finn," the conductor said kindly. "It's where your own dream begins. You see, a dream is the first step. It's the seed from which all magic grows. What will you dream of tonight?" The train gave a soft, sleepy choo-choo and faded away, leaving behind the scent of stardust. Finn snuggled back under his covers, his head full of adventure and flight. He closed his eyes, ready to fill his very own dream wagon.